Alright, I'm Lee Hawthorn and welcome back to the channel once again. Thank you once again for all of the support that you've given. But if you haven't already, please do subscribe, like, comment on this video and all the videos. Helps with the algorithms, helps grow the channel, helps all the artists that we're getting on this channel and kind of letting them be exposed to more people, in theory at least anyway. Fingers crossed. But today we are talking to Endem, a rapper from Darlington, who I've known for quite a few years. He's about to release his A.R.P album, Acute Radiation Poisoning. In this interview, I do say that the album will be out by the time you're watching this, but unfortunately, it has been pushed back to New Year's Eve. So if you're watching this before then just wait a little bit, wait a few days, and it'll be out soon. But yeah, very excited about this one. We do talk quite in depth about the album. It is kind of focused essentially solely on that, but some of the themes that he touches on with the album, including kind of mental health, his relationship with other rappers in the scene, and much more as well. So let's get into it.
I've tried the doctors, but when you melt, it's like trying to bite through copper. You just get this look and this handy little book and a load of old numbers that'll write you off.
About a week or so away from the album coming out. By the time people are watching this, it will be out. What can you tell me about it, kind of as an overarching album?
Well, it's been a nightmare from back to front to start off with. It's just been absolute hell. It should have been out really. I originally had it planned for August, but obviously because of the pandemic and stuff like that, mine and Rob's flights to Ukraine were cancelled X amount of times. So it's just been absolute nightmare, mate. But we're getting to the stages now where I'm ready to upload and stuff like that. I'm just waiting for final masters and that sort of good stuff.
And so was the plan always to film the videos in Chernobyl and then the music would kind of fit around that kind of thing? Or was that the crack?
Yeah, well, I was doing Lost Soul. I was doing a couple of videos for that in January, I think. I'm just checking now, actually. I think it was Straight Jacket we were filming. When we'd come up with it, we were in the middle of a field and I was wearing that prison uniform. Say, oh well, we should shoot some videos in Chernobyl, and it kind of went from there. Yeah, and it sort of materialised into, all right, this is an idea that we've thrown out to, okay, this is actually happening. Let's book a flight. So yeah, I think we booked the first flight in May, then we booked a flight in June, and then booked a flight in July. And all three were cancelled. It's just absolute brutal. But originally it was supposed to be an EP. And then obviously we suggested the Chernobyl thing, and then lockdown happened. And Rob was sending me beats, but because we'd already had that idea premeditated of we're going to Chernobyl, it ended up we were catering content for that. So you get a couple of tracks that have absolutely nothing to do with radioactivity, and then you've got 6 or 7 that absolutely mention it, and they're all focal pointed on Chernobyl. So that's how it happens, yeah. Just avalanched, really.
Yeah, I was going to ask you which tracks were for the EP, but I guess you saying that, it's kind of obvious when you listen through in a way.
Yeah.
How it flows, I think maybe it's like the first few and the last few do seem to be the ones that are kind of more pinpointed.
Yeah. You can definitely tell. Yeah, they're not so much filler tracks, but you can tell which were for the album and which weren't. But because I had them tracks there, I just thought, oh, why not? We may as well just put them all on one project. Because my aim next year is to release 2 singles a month. I'm just going to stay doing singles for a bit. Because you don't know what's going to happen next year and whether I'm going to be able to get in the studio regularly and stuff like that. So I've just started stacking content now while I can.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put singles out, I think.
You mentioned before that this album is kind of a collaborative album with Rob Irish-ish.
Yeah.
You've obviously kind of known each other a while, but when did it kind of become like a working relationship? And how did that start?
From when he filmed my first video, which off the top of my head was Diaries of a Sociopath 3, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So when we'd filmed that video, like we'd been, like you said, we'd been mates for ages, and obviously been helping him do music box and gigs, and like he's been one of my best mates for a while. But with the video thing, like it just works. It like the working relationship between me and Rob's mad. I've done work with other videographers, and don't get me wrong, it's not on their talent as to why I haven't used them again. But with Rob, me and Rob sort of feel comfortable pushing ideas that I wouldn't normally do with other videographers. Do you know what I mean? Like my personality comes out because I'm friends with Rob. So that's why I've chose to work with Rob solely on videos and stuff like that. But the recording with Rob was because we couldn't get in the studio.
Fair.
So this whole album's been recorded in a bedroom. It's like we were using sheets as soundproof and that. It was absolutely mad. But like you can definitely tell in the sound, but like it's not affected the quality because of the way that me and Rob are together. Do you know what I mean? Not if I was recording in someone else's bedroom, I'd be like, and I'd be able to tell in my voice. Like you sometimes you can when you record with other people and stuff like that. You can tell in your voice that you're a bit nervous or you're a bit. Do you know what I mean? Like it affects your routine. But with Rob, it didn't really matter. I wasn't really bothered.
Yeah, this is the second album that you've released that's kind of working with all one producer.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. The last one was with Loom. Is that something that you kind of deliberately want to do, or was it again something that was just kind of a necessity because of the situation we're in?
Yeah, necessity. I mean, some of the beats are produced by other producers, but Rob's mixed and mastered it all.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, some of the other beats, like all the beats are quite mixed, but ish is most of them. But on there, I've got Freddie. I work with Freddie quite a lot. Freddie sends me beats per month. Because obviously I've got a mad work rate and he's got singles and stuff stacked up. So normally he just goes, all right, I've got a beats pack and I'll pick 2 and buy them off him per month. So I obviously had them. And then Sonny, I've got a good working relationship with Sonny. So he's done a couple. Loom, I've got one off Loom. He's been on a break because he's got a job and stuff like that in Blackpool. So he's been very busy, but he inboxed me and said, "Oh, I've got this beat." So I said, "Oh yeah, I'll put that on." That was 4 walls, but most of it's been Rob. Like the back end stuff is Rob. You can tell because it's all the radioactive stuff. That's Rob.
Fair. When I kind of first heard the album title and stuff, I kind of immediately thought of Yellow Wolf.
Yeah. Yeah.
How conscious were you of that, or how like influenced were you by that album? Because to me, that's one of the best albums of the last decade. To me, but
yeah. Not very, because I don't really listen to him. But a funny story is that it was originally called acute radiation sickness, but when you abbreviate that, it spells. So I was like, nah, that can't happen. And I went to Rob. I was like, this has slipped out our midst a bit, and he was like, yeah, no, we better say like poisoning or something. I was like, yeah, shit.
You mentioned Freddie there. I remember a couple of years ago now, when you were starting to kind of build the Legitimate Anarchy roster, Freddie was something that you wanted to get on there. And since then, it seems as if the label side of things went a little bit quiet. Are things still going along? Are you still working with Rex and Ement and Tagoro and whoever else?
Yeah, still working with them, but obviously it's hard for them to record and stuff like that as well. Obviously, getting in places now is an absolute nightmare because they're either closed down because they sell alcohol, or you can't get in, or do you know what I mean? They haven't got the money because they're not working and stuff like that. I mean, me, I've been fortunate because, well, for me, it's unfortunate that I've been working throughout the whole thing. So I haven't had like a cash flow issue or anything like that. So, but the forum has been closed. So yeah, it's just been a nightmare. But yeah, Tagaro's still working. He's working on an album for next year. Sorry if I wasn't supposed to mention that, mate, by the way. But it's out there now. Me and Rex are looking at a collaborative project next year, which has been a long time. Yeah, that's been a long time coming. I wouldn't be surprised if Freddie was the sole producer on that, to be honest.
Right.
And yeah, obviously Loom's taking a break, but yeah, the label's still a label. It's just obviously hard.
Yeah, everybody's hard. Fair. Going into the actual album, then I've kind of like pinpointed from each track like stuff that's like stood out. And I think just the lyric from Radioactive, there's a song everybody would have heard by now because it's already out. This is the album that proves I'm the one. Who else could do what I do when I drop? And like, I quite like hearing you be on the braggadocious kind of side of things, but I think the last album was very kind of introspective, and there is bits on this. But like, how much is that what you really believe, and how much is it rapper speak?
I'd say 50-50. Yeah, definitely. I mean, like as an artist, you've got to be sort of braggadocious and got to believe in yourself, because who else is going to at the end of the day? But then again, who else has went to Chernobyl to film music videos and spent $2.5 grand nigh on? So yeah, but yeah, it's 50-50. Obviously, like I'm not that type of person. I mean, you know me. I'm not going to go, oh yeah, I'm the best. F everyone else.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy. But yeah, like I say, who's went to Ukraine and done that sort of stuff. I'm just trying to do stuff that is unique. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be forever filming music videos in abandoned places and doing the same thing time and time again, because you just need to switch up your stuff in it. So I think the traveling videography, I think that's going to be a sticking point for me now, definitely, because there's obviously places I want to see on a personal side, plus why not do music as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think NF did that, didn't he? Didn't he go to Norway or Iceland or something?
I like his music, but I've never really paid much attention to his anything beyond the songs that I've heard on Spotify kind of thing. So I wouldn't know.
Yeah, it just gives you a different feeling when you I mean, walking about Pripyat with a camera and a tour guide was just absolutely mental. Like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? What's happening? Do you know what I mean? Well, it gives you like, I don't know, you can just tell in the videos that it was just all new and it was all nuts. Do you know what I mean? It was just mental, mate. It was the best experience ever, to be honest.
What was the reaction from like the people like the tour guides and whoever else was like out there and seniors? Because I imagine they'll get a lot of tourists, but I can't imagine there's many rappers who have gone to film, or any musicians who have gone to film music videos there.
All right. I'm trying to make this as a short. There's a long version and a short version, right? All right. I'm trying to work it out in my head. But the day that we went in August, obviously the lockdown, the global lockdown was still on. Ukraine wasn't fully locked down, but they closed the borders on the day we went. We were sat in the plane, and there was a guy in front of us, and he was going mental, saying, "Oh, the borders are closed, and we're going to get sent home." And me and Robert sat there like, "Oh God, please don't be true." Do you know what I mean? Like, 4 cancelled flights, $1.5 grand down, just like, oh, this is brutal. If we get there and then get sent home after getting up at 2 a.m. to get a flight, I'll be absolutely livid. But we looked on the Gov website, and it said Ukraine closed its borders on the 28th of August, which is when we went, at midnight. And we didn't know whether it was a prior midnight or the following midnight. So the whole flight there, we were just like, oh no, like this is happening. We're going to get sent back to the UK. But we got there, and you just had to have health insurance, and it was midnight that the borders got closed on the night we went. Normally in Chernobyl, there's about 1,000 tourists. On the day we went, there was 3. And me and Rob were 2 of them. So it was just mental, mate. The whole place, as deserted as it is anyway, it was like ultra deserted. And the tour guide, because we'd booked a private tour, he was a musician himself. He was in a band. So we were driving there, and obviously he said, "Oh, what brings you to Ukraine?" And we were like, "Oh, we're musicians. We're filming music videos." And he was like, "No way, really?" So he was like really super on board with it. And then he showed us his music, and we showed him ours. And then he was just the most accommodating guy ever, mate. He was just like, right, I think this is going to look good for videos. So they came out 10 times better than what they would have came out, which they would have been mint anyway. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, he just he accommodated the whole thing to an insane level. He took us to places that he thought would look good. So it was just mental, absolutely mental.
That's proper amazing to me, because I think like everybody always says that like music is a universal language and it's like a massive community and all that sort of thing. But like you couldn't get a better thing than going to Ukraine to shoot videos, and then it being media to a guy. That's incredible. Yeah,
we said that. We were like, oh, we thought we'd been unlucky with this trip, but then we got there and we're like, this might have actually worked out 1,000,000 times better. You know?
Yeah.
So it was just nuts, mate. Everything just worked out at the end. Apart from me losing my phone and Rob smashing a drone within 2 days of us being there, everything worked out absolutely dynamite.
What was the tour guide's music like? Was it any good?
Yeah, he was all right, actually. I've got him liked on Facebook. I'll have to send you a link later on. But yeah, he was all right. He was in a band, but he's just starting out, so he was a bit nervous. But he was telling us, I think he said, I'm sure it was Pink Floyd. They filmed a video in Pripyat.
Right. Fair.
I can't remember what the tune was. I'll have to find it, but I'm sure it was Pink Floyd. I'm 90% positive. I'll make sure with Rob and I'll try and find the video. I'm pretty sure they've done it, but apart from that, there's not many people that have.
Yeah. Going on to Mushroom Cloud, which is the second track on the album. It seems to very much kind of touch on your relationship with other rappers in the Northeast or in the scene and stuff, whether that's kind of like deliberate and direct or whether it's just kind of an overarching thing. How do you feel in 2020? Because obviously there's been like a roller coaster ride of your career and relationship with other artists, where obviously you started out kind of causing a bit of a fuss and then kind of starting the label, doing the festival stages. So that's kind of really built like a community around you as well, I think, within Darlington especially and the kind of surrounding areas. How are you feeling in like 2020 about where you fit with other people?
I think I'll always be an outlier, which like it's not like I don't make myself an outlier. I try and be an outlier. Do you know what I mean? I try to stay in my own lane and try to do my own things, and like e.g. Chernobyl and stuff like that. But as for like friendship and stuff, I'll be real with you. If you're real with me, then we'll be sound. You know what I mean? But if you don't like me, I don't really care. That's all. That's why I've said to Mushroom Cloud. If you don't like me or you don't like what I'm doing, I'm not bothered.
Fair.
Not my problem.
Speaking of a couple of people that you do happen to get along with, Rex and King Tagoro feature on the Tommy Shelby tune. How did that come about? I'm guessing were they old verses, or did they just manage to quickly record something? Or
I think Tigger recorded it at someone's house, and I'm not sure where Rex did it. I think Rex might have done it at his own house. I'm not sure.
I'm sure he's had equipment, so probably fair.
Yeah, I love that tune. I love Peaky Blinders as well, obviously.
Yeah.
I like that tune. I think it's one of my favourite on the album, yes.
I know you kind of put the track list out, but I'd kind of forgot about that and forgot about the features that were on it. So as I was listening through and I heard Rex's voice, I was like, what's happening here?
Where's that come from?
Yeah, because like as much as I didn't believe his retirement when he said it, it has been a while now. So I thought, oh, well, maybe it is, but it's quite nice to hear him back, even if it is a little bit. So
yeah, he's always game to jump on a tune. I love Rex. There's no way he's retired. It's absolute nonsense. Don't you, Rex?
I know, but I believed him. Like I was just starting to believe him. He finally moved over, and now
But you just heard that verse, like, oh wow.
And then literally when I was on Twitter the other day saying who I wanted to interview, I did a list of artists, and he piped up saying, "Oh, like, what about me or something?" I was like, "What? Like, I'm not an interview about you. Don't do anything anymore."
Well, when we do that collaborative project, you will. Then I'm going to force him into that. I don't know whether that was just talk or what, but he's getting forced into it now. He's committed.
Absolutely. And then kind of the next track on there is Those Guys, and it was interesting to hear you on grime again. I know you kind of dabble in now and again, but obviously that was kind of how you started, whereas now it's very much kind of hip-hop in a more kind of American vein and kind of the Eminems, but not really kind of more Joyner Lucas kind of style. What made you kind of want to go back to a grime tune? Was it just that Rob had produced it, or?
Sonny sent me a pack, and the rest of them were trap and stuff like that, and that one was the only grime one, and I heard it, I was just like, oh, I'm mad. Yeah, I'm on this. Because I still like grime. I don't really listen to it anymore. I think it's died down. There's not really any artists that speak out to me apart from like the old heads like Getz and Kano and them sort of guys. But when I heard that tune, I was like, oh yeah, I've got to get back on grime. And to be fair, it's one of my favourite tunes I've done in a long time. Yeah, especially with Davo on the hook, I've sort of brought an indie vibe to a grime track, which it's a really unique sound in it with Davo on the back of the hook. So yeah, it's definitely one of my favourite tunes.
And then we get into kind of my favourite part of the album, which I'm guessing is some of the tracks that maybe wouldn't have necessarily been on there. Starting with kind of Four Walls, I'm not sure was that going to be on the album or was that on the EP, or was that just for the album? It might have been on the EP, but
can't remember that one. No, that was deliberately supposed to be on the album, but I'd had a lot of hard tracks recorded. A lot of the hard ones were recorded first.
Yeah,
and I thought I don't just want 12 tracks of me going absolutely mental. So I was like, right, I've got to sort of bipolar this up a bit. You know what I mean? And then they've got the Four Walls tune. Yeah, and Faith's another one. I'm thinking you've noted that one, innit? Faith, Rob produced back to front while we were doing the tune. So that's what makes that 10 times more amazing, is that Rob was like, he was playing the keys and stuff while we were recording it. and he's obviously give it the orchestral sort of vibe where there's a lot of instruments going on at the same time, and that's why it's so dynamic at certain points. Is because Rob's ridiculously talented.
Yeah, it was interesting for me because when you were kind of started doing the promo for this and talking about like going to Ukraine to film the videos and all that sort of thing, I don't want to say that I was put off, but it was kind of one of those where it was like, I'm not sure this album is going to be for me.
Yeah.
And then once I heard Four Walls, I'm Not Okay, and Faith, I realised like how great this album is, because the other tracks are like really good, but them are the ones that connect for me.
Yeah.
So like, how important is that for you to make the music? Because like, I think even in the songs, you kind of talk about it as like music as therapy and stuff like that. So like, how important is it for you to make those tunes?
Personally, I think that's when I'm at my best, is when I'm making the hype stuff. I like the hype stuff because I've got the voice for it and I've got the energy for it. But the deeper stuff is where I really think I stand out. Do you know what I mean? So I have to make them tracks. I like making them tracks because it makes you relive an experience, and it sort of helps you get over that experience, if you know what I mean. You've got to pinpoint one sort of event that's happened in your life and be like, right, all right, this is it's essentially how I get over that event, do you know what I mean, and try and get some closure on it. So like I definitely have to make them tracks 100%. I'll always put them tracks on an album. I'll never just have an album of outright bangers.
And then going to I'm Not Okay, which I think is probably my favourite song on the album. Because it's so hard hitting. It kind of starts, and I was a little bit worried when it kind of first started. I don't know why, because I know what you're like, but it was kind of sort of sounded like one of those tunes that you know when rappers make the mental health song, but then you really get into the verse. I think it's the first verse, and you kind of talk about how like doctors just give you like a pamphlet and they don't actually really listen, and the reaction to Will Smith when he was doing the red table talk thing with the Alcina situation, all that sort of thing. And it was kind of, it like really went deep and talking about how like male mental health, as much as there's all this like conversation around it, actually there's no real change happening.
Yeah.
And how much like do you feel that is like a real thing, and how much did you exaggerate it for the song? Like,
I think it's 100% real. Do you know what I mean? To be fair, when I made that, I wish I'd made more of that. I wish the song was either longer or I'd made another one on the same sort of point. You know, like because it started off as just a freestyle. Like, I'd wrote like 16 or 20 bars or whatever, and I was like, actually, this is dynamite. I need a tune for it. And then Freddie had sent me a pack, and it's Freddie's beat, and it had the OK sample in it. So I was like, all right, yeah, this goes absolutely perfect with what I'm trying to do here. So yeah, I wish I'd made more of that, to be honest. But I definitely think that it's 100% real. I mean, you get people all over social media saying, oh, well, my mental health's bad and we need to speak out and we need to do this and we need to do that, but they're not really taking any action, or they're not talking about it. And half of them don't really go to the doctors. 90% of the time, it's either they drink too much alcohol or they're on a come down or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So the going to the doctors stuff, I mean, I don't know whether you've been yourself.
Yeah, I did.
But you just get fobbed off. You 100% get fobbed off. As soon as you walk in and you say it, they look at you and you get this awkward aura, and you're just like, you know they're not going to do what they want. You're not going to get the help that you need. You're just like, all right, yeah, okay, read this pamphlet, phone this. That's it. End of. See you later. You just feel like you get mugged off. So I think artists speaking out about it, I think it's more important than ever, which is why I decided to put it on the album.
Yeah. And then even kind of linking in with that, on Faith, there's a bit where you say, depression is terminal, what do you think suicide is? And like, that lyric really caught me, because like when you think of terminal diseases, you don't think of depression, but actually it very clearly is.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's definitely. But like just because the effect isn't visual doesn't mean that it's not there. And I think that's 99.9% of the problem, is that people just look at it. I mean, even when you're telling a family member or a friend, if you're not visually ill, they don't really believe it. So that's where that came from.
Yeah, and then there's quite a lot of kind of religious stuff on that song as well, where like obviously it's called Faith, but then there is, I've got it down here somewhere, Lord forgive me, I forgot your name, and then there's I think it's in the chorus, there's all the churches are deserted now, I don't know whether it's a sample or that's is it Chris singing it or
Yeah, that's Dave or that. Yeah.
And obviously Anarchy is Religion was the last album. How like I think I remember asking at the time like how much like religion was within you and whatnot. And you said at the time, I'm pretty sure that like it wasn't necessarily about like Christianity or anything like that. It was more just about the kind of purity of like music and stuff like that. Could also be like a metaphor for a kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it does seem a little bit more on the nose with like actual religion this time. Would that be fair or?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100%. I mean, like I said, like you mentioned there, I've mentioned before religion and stuff like that. Not saying I have like a tight relationship with God, do you know what I mean? But I like to believe there's some sort of entity there, and I kind of give up on it for a while. When things started happening bad, I was just like, well, what's the point? Do you know what I mean? I can't be bothered. But with this one, I've sort of revisited it and started to like not so much rethink my position, but just kind of have a word with myself in the mirror sort of thing, do you know what I mean? Which is why faith's on there, and I've mentioned the religion.
Yeah. And then also on there's kind of a lot of talk about kind of the audience wanting more from you and you maybe not necessarily being there for it kind of thing. There's a lyric where used to use music, now it feels stupid, feels like a job now or something like that, something along those lines.
Yeah.
And is that still kind of true now, or is that just how you were feeling at the time? Like, how much is
No, it's definitely true. It's definitely true. Like the more that you do, and like the more popularity you gain, and the more views you gain, it starts to feel like a job. I mean, I'm probably the same for you. Do you know what I mean? With the blog stuff. I mean, at the start, you have this sort of excitement for it because it's new, and then you're gaining popularity, and you're like, right, this is working. Then it starts to feel like a 9 to 5, and you just like, oh man, like you've got to sort of find the excitement and find the drive to keep on doing it, which is where that lyrics come from. I'm trying to find the real reason for doing it, not because I want people to listen to my music, because that's how everybody starts. Is I want to be a rapper, or I want to be a musician. I want to do you know what I mean? It's more of an ego thing. Whereas when you start getting deeper into it, that's when you find out who really wants to be an artist, who really wants to be a musician. Is when you've got to dig deep and things are hard. That's normally when people quit. Well, I'm not about to do that. So it's more about finding your real reason for actually doing what you're doing.
And then going into kind of No Matter What, which features JR, Dream Chaser, and Lister. How did those collaborations come about? Because they're people that I wouldn't necessarily expect to be on an Endem album. Yeah.
I've been quite close with JR for a while. And we had a tune a while ago, but it didn't materialise. I think it might have been because of the pandemic. It might have been because I couldn't record. And then it sort of fizzled out. So I was like, all right, I've got a spare couple of verses. I'm just going to ask people. And then Lister, I've been wanting to do one with Lister for a while because we're quite similar stylistically. So I said, oh, Lister, I've got this tune for you. I think it's up your alley sort of thing. So I sent him it and he sent me it back. So I'm quite happy with that tune, actually. It's a really good collaborative tune. I think there's probably going to be a video for that one.
Yeah, cool. And then kind of going towards the kind of the end of the album now, Wrecked, which I've kind of got a load of lyrics from. But before that, the first kind of lyric that kind of stood out to me was, well, I'm sorry, this isn't going to be Anarchy is Religion.
Yeah. Straight away set the tone. I sent that to Johnny and he was like, all right, first line, cool. I've sort of went back to not the old Endem, but somewhere in between. I think I've found the niche with this album is the point of Wrecked. Is the point of that line. Not like, oh, I didn't like Anarchy is Religion, or I didn't like the music I was doing, because the music on Anarchy is Religion's, like, I like it, it's class, do you know what I mean? But I hadn't quite found the niche. Like, Planning Permission was like, it was like putting the feelers out there and seeing what I could do with music, and Anarchy is Religion was building on that, and then building on the relationship with Loom, and then seeing how I could build a track and an album, and this is sort of the Endem niche. I think this is me going towards the peak of my ability, I think.
Yeah, and I think one of my favourite lines, if not my favourite line on the entire album, is such a scummy cunt, I snort the poverty line.
Yeah, like, it was a nice bar, that wasn't it? I've had that bar written on my phone for so long, and I didn't have a tune I could put it in. And then I was like, right, I'm getting this in. I don't even care if it doesn't rhyme. It's going in. If not, I'd have put it as an ad lib at the end of the track or something mad. You know? So yeah, it was just sat there on the end. I was like, right, that's got to go in. That's got to go in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then kind of similarly, there's a bit about kind of social drinkers, and you're kind of just saying like you don't want to drink with people who can socially drink.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I love that because I cannot socially drink, so
nah, it doesn't work, does it? I honestly, I don't know how people do it. It's totally baffling to me how people can go, oh, I'm going to finish work and then I'll go for a few pints and a bit of food and I'll go to bed. It's either you're getting so wrecked you don't know where your shoes are, or you're not drinking at all. That's sort of my level of drinking.
Yeah, absolutely. And then kind of baddest motherfucker is a line that I wasn't expecting at all, and I had to listen to it like 2 or 3 times just to like make sure that you actually said what I thought you said. And that's the you don't want to risk it, stay quiet, like cat you when I dissed them.
I had to slip that in. I hate that guy. I had to take a dig somewhere. Like I just did, and it fit in perfectly. So I was like, "All right, yeah, cool." Because it's got the Jorge Masvidal sample, and that's what it's about. Like George Masvidal, the MMA fighter. Like, right, I've got to throw a punch at someone, and he was just the guy that I thought of first.
Because like I was thinking like throughout the album, well, this is like. Obviously, there's like kind of tracks where you're like being sort of immature in a way, but it felt like a very mature album, and it's just like you weren't taking shots at anybody specifically anymore. And then the second last track, and it's like
all of a sudden, just the immaturity sneaks in. I couldn't control it, mate. It was going for someone, and that was just the first person I thought of. It could have been a handful of MCs at the minute, but Kaki was the first one.
Yeah. And then we get to the final track, and probably the track that might get the most attention, I'm kind of guessing, because it's kind of featuring something that you have made a name for yourself doing, which is just breaking the speed barrier, essentially.
Oh, Levels. Yeah, Levels, the video for that, absolutely. It's just an absolute fuckery, mate. It's because you have to wear long sleeve stuff in Chernobyl. Right, you can't take your jacket off, and like we thought it was going to be freezing over there. Do you know what I mean? So we didn't pack any shorts, no t-shirt or anything. Well, regardless, I'd have had to wear a long sleeve shirt anyway. But I had the clothes for Faith underneath my clothes for Levels because I needed to get pickup shots the next day with Rob. So I've got 2 tracksuits on and a pair of jeans, and I'm rapping at 1,000,000 miles an hour in 30-degree heat. Honestly, I nearly died, mate. Like, it was absolutely brutal. Mate, we're probably going to do an outtake reel of me running out of breath for Levels. Because there was one point where I thought I was actually going to go. I was halfway through, and I was like I started feeling lightheaded. I was like, Rob's like, "Are you all right?" I was like, no, I need some water. I thought that was it. It was game over. Endem's going to die in Pripyat. My music career that's it. I'm finished. I'm getting buried in a USSR airfield. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, Levels, it was just, I had to do a speed track, do you know what I mean? And Rob, I had originally written that to another beat, and I went over and we went to get the beat up and purchase the beat, and it had already been sold. So I was like, oh, what a fucking nightmare this is. And then Rob went, Rob just pulled up this this folder on his computer, and it was just like, I've got these beats done for you. And one of them's like, Endem maybe, Endem beats, Endem. I was like, right, just play them. So he played them. It was only like 8 bars to start off with, and it was the Levels tune. And I started spitting it, and both of us got gassed and went, right, that's it, that's the tune.
Yeah. How much is it a coincidence that we're in a pandemic and no venues are open, so you can't do gigs, that you're releasing this tune? Because you hate doing the fast tunes live.
Yeah. That's going to be my new party trick, but I think I'm going to have to do some cardio before. I'm going to have to go to the gym in January before I get a gig.
Yeah. Because I always remember, like, I can't remember what the last tune was on Anti-Religion that was like...
Who Your Odds, wasn't it?
Yeah. And we would always get a wheel up, and you would always fucking...
Yeah, like, be boiling. Yeah, just like, no, don't you dare, you cunt. It was always Sam just looking at us like, I knew he was going to do it. He was going to do it on purpose as well. Whether people cheered or not, that tune was getting reloaded. It could have been in the middle of an old men's club, and he'd have still done it. Do you know what I mean? was like, oh, you bastard. Well, levels, yeah. If Rob reloads that halfway through levels, that's me, game over, mate. I'm having a stroke on stage.
I look forward to it.
Yeah. Cheers.
So yeah, is there anything else that you kind of want to say about the album? Is there anything that we maybe missed that you think was like?
I think we've covered all bases there, mate.
Well, I'm happy with that then. Where can people kind of find you online, and where can people find the music?
Instagram at EndemDL3, and you can get Rob at Rob Irish Media. Facebook is Legitimate Anarchy Records, and then Endem. I've done my Instagram. My Twitter handle's Endem_LA. Then you've got legitimateanarchy.co.uk, which is currently under maintenance. And the album's out on the 19th of December. It's going to be on all digital media, and I'm going to get the CDs post-release because I'm an advantageous man, and I'm going to take my opportunities with the fact that everyone's locked down. So my digital media is going to get hammered.